Hey, how's it going? It's Matt Tamar here. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about the difference between fake and real conservatives because we got to have this discussion because these people are coming to this space running their ABL Officer Tatum con game, and we have to be able to lay out the playbook so that way you can tell whether a person is a real conservative or a fake conservative whenever you're talking to them. Because most of these people who claim to be conservatives, they actually don't believe in equal protection under the law. They believe in letting the government do whatever overages it wants to, and they bring these black conservatives in to kind of clean up after the mess of the government after the fact. So give us a couple minutes so that we can get more people in here, so that way we can be able to have this substantive discussion. Because what you guys don't realize is that these people use the exact same playbook every single time. So since they use the same playbook over and over, and this is why I just don't even allow them to speak, you will understand why after this discussion. So give me a second while we do this. All right. Thank you all for coming through. The reason why we're actually having this conversation, so that way you can understand the difference between a fake conservative and a real conservative. Like, there's a difference between being self reliant, there's a difference between all those things. And then there's a difference between just using your black face to cover up for bad policy whenever things go wrong. So you have to realize, obviously, the situation in Chicago is not good. I don't know. I don't live there. However, I would never point to the death in Chicago as a reason for unprofessional police officers to be able to deliberately use their training in an unprofessional way against people within a certain environment because there are actual actions somewhere else. Like a real conservative actually talks about public policy, like Mr. Research, Josiah BMT, Black Male Talk, Shirley Hussar. These are actual real conservatives who actually want to talk about public policy and who have the history down pat to the point to where we're not treating the Democrats and the Republicans of yesterday as if they're the same party of today. Like none of this stuff is hard. And you have to understand while they're trying to use terms like victimhood and all that kind of other stuff, you have to understand that when do you hear from a Candace Owens or Anthony Brian Logan or the Officer Tatum? Do they actually talk about policy, or are they actually coming out here to toe white supremacist talking point when they actually come out here? There's nothing wrong with real conservatism. Conservatism actually means a protection of something. But when you are the bootlicker model, as Maximum Rex just said, of conservative, the only time you use your black face is when it comes to throwing black on black crime into the mix. You have to realize that this is a steady and true thing that's been going throughout history. But we can't trust corporate news, which is nothing but a product, it's not about truth, to get these people off of TV. We need federal law and legislation. When these people are actually coming on TV playing like they're experts, when the only thing they're doing is justifying unconstitutional actions, I want you to go to prison for that. Because if your actual opinion means that somebody else die, then I want you, under equal protection, under the law, to actually be able to be killed because of what you believe, especially if someone else gets to die because of that. Most of these police, when they come in contact with people under unconstitutional reasons of stopping them, they don't check their background. They don't do anything. They do it because they're either trying to pay the city's bills because they did not allow for tax policy to go through. So they make up for it by actually going out to personnel within society in order to up those gains for the actual government. Now, they don't raise a whole bunch of money from this, as much as it would actual taxation, but it does give them the ability to come in contact with people that they normally should not be coming in contact with. Anytime a police officer gets a hangnail, it's nationwide news. But yet we're not even allowed to study or even track police killings anywhere. This is something that news organizations have to do on their own, tracking police blotter information. Police blotter is the actual occurrences that happen during an actual law enforcement officer's shift. This is where these people get that stuff from. It's normally public information, but you have to realize that public policy means everything. And I think there is no protection for people under the law when a citizen feels scared of the police. We've seen far too many times where people are killed unconstitutionally. So they bring out these guys who don't care about constitutional policy at all. They're just here to clean up after the government mess. I think that these corporations should be held responsible. YouTube, Facebook, the people on TV, yeah, they should be brought to justice when it comes to them unjustifiably justifying somebody's death. You have to understand the police, they're at work. They are trained professionals at their job. They all have a use of force model that they go by. But at the end of the day, if they keep using their training, because they're trained professionals, in a way that hurts other people in society, then they got to go to jail for that. And if we can't bring them to jail under a different means, we have to create another type of court system to bring them to justice. I'm talking about roving groups of prosecutors, judges, and actual professional juries in order to bring them to justice. Because we know we can't trust most prosecutors in these cities to bring these people under any type of account or court because of how powerful the police union is. The police union is not there to make sure the citizens are protected. The police union is there to make sure the police are protected. Do I believe in unions? Yes. I just don't believe in unions for something like the police department. Because when you kill somebody, you shouldn't have millions of dollars to be brought up to actually pay for you the best attorney on the planet. You get instant access to the media and news. Like, no person who gets shot by the police even have anywhere near that type of power at their disposal. This is why these people don't talk about policies. Every time you hear their mouth, it's about justifying the death of someone under some certain circumstances. And you have to realize there's a specific playbook. that these people run. You have to understand that these people claim they care about taxation and everything else when they're okay with tax cuts for people. Normal, like even me at the income level that I'm at, I don't lobby for tax cuts. Why? Because I think stuff needs to be paid for in society. You see, fake conservatives are only there to uphold corporate power and to clean up behind bad public policy. Real conservatives can actually talk policy, actually care about black people, and do their job. I think we do need a counterbalance between liberal and conservative. While I'm not actually a liberal, I do vote with their party because I can dodge feminism a hell of a lot better than I can dodge, traditional judicial malfeasance by people within the work environment. I can do that now. I couldn't do that before. But that's just where we're at. So you have to realize real conservatives talk about policy because politics are nothing but about policy. And if you cannot talk about policy and the only thing you're trying to protect is the government's right to put down people whenever they want to, we got a problem. We got a real problem. And you have to realize that these people have come to our space to stop the conversation from going on. You have to understand that type of conservative's actual track record. If you're not actually focused on public policy, then what actually are you focused on doing within the environment? What they want to do is they want to shut down any conversation that could move the conversation forward. But see, they care about their tokenism and their actual privileged place among those people. Name me any of these names who have talked about actual policy. Herman Cain, Anthony Brown Logan, the Officer Tatum, Candace Owens. When have these people talked about actual policy that are affecting black people in the country rather than justifying the overages of the government against the same group of people that they claim to be a part of? None of these people talk about public policy because they're there to make the people who can't say the stuff that they clearly can feel comfortable. That's why they're there. Thomas Sowell. Like, this is why they're there. Like, if you are a pro-United States person in, like, Yemen, you're not walking around in public. You're ducking sniper fire because you're against those actual people. So they say incredibly stupid shit like, oh, you're not allowing all opinions to be at the table. No, I'm not going to allow your opinion at the table if you have a certain shade of history. Fuck your history. History is very true about how this shit happened and went down. The Democratic Party, who is the party of slavery, the people who was a part of that are not the people who are fighting for gay rights right now. They're just not the same people. This is why you got to drop the party shit and you got to figure out what people voted for what party during what period of time and what their actual party platform are. So that way you can be able to track these people from beginning to end. That's the difference between a real conservative and a fake conservative. Real conservatives don't mind talking to you about policy all day. But fake conservatives come in, they take these white supremacist talking points and they just go and actual run with the shit. The police are at work here. When the police are at work engaging in unprofessional behavior, when they are highly trained, they should go to jail for that shit. We know the police and the rules work fine. You have to realize that this is what this is about, man. Y'all have to realize that these people are around here to stop the actual conversation from going on. And they want to supplant that conversation with their own deliberate version of history that does not deal with that. This is how people can actually walk around claiming that they're part of a party and they couldn't tell you what the history of the party actually was. I'm saying at this point in time, we should do what the gays did. The log cabin Republicans had conservative Republicans on their side who was actually gay themselves, and they worked together with the liberals on the liberal side in order to get their policies passed for marriage and everything else. You see, the reason why we can't do that as black people, because a lot of black conservatives like their position in that party where they don't have to ask for anything. They don't have to ask for anything amongst that party. They could just be a token within that party and not ask for anything. The only thing they got to do is gaslight and just say incredibly dumb shit to people outside of that. That's what I'm saying, Doug. Real conservatives can talk about policy. Fake conservatives want to justify bullshit and claim they're being slick while doing so. So what I'm saying from here on out, when we talk about politics and shit, you got to get the history right. This is why I didn't let them be on my show, because you're not going to misstate fucking history. And think that I'm going to allow you to be on my show as an actual opinion that I need to listen to. Go fuck yourself. It's almost like we need to talk fire safety with a goddamn convicted arsonist. Some people just don't deserve to be part of some conversations, thanks to their background. Nobody would want to talk about child safety with fucking Jerry Sandusky. It'd be a dumbass fucking idea to bring that guy to the conversation. This is why I'm like, principle wins the day. I don't care what party that you're a part of. Let's talk about the policies that's fucking people up out here. The policies of feminism are quite thorough about how much rights that you don't have to have your productivity destroyed just because the person decides they want out of a relationship. Why on earth we're talking about feminism when I invite most, if not all, black women to the conversation to talk about that? All they're going to do is flip chairs over and not have the conversation. I'm saying this. Have a political party, whatever. All right, there we go. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing and cut it off. But yeah, that's how you tell the difference. The difference is very clear. The conservatives in the South were trying to conserve slavery. That's what they were doing. During slavery, you didn't have any fucking rights. Not to own property, not to vote, to have no redresses by the government. So when you call yourself a black conservative and you claim that you don't give a shit about American history nor policy, you're full of shit and deliberately full of shit. This is why I like Western conservatism over Southern conservatism. Western conservatism, as Xanthos Clutch said, is far more libertarian. This is how we got marijuana legalization passed in Colorado. It's a conservative policy for people not to fucking do drugs and do all that shit. But it was those people that wanted to do that shit that sent the policy over the hill for the most part. And there are probably a couple counties in Colorado that you still can have this shit in. Yeah. This is why when you talk about Supreme Court and the policies of the Supreme Court, like nobody can defend from the conservative side Buckley versus Vallejo that started the actual political action committee. You can't fight that. You look very dumb trying to fight that. You look very dumb trying to fight Bush v. Gore. You look very dumb trying to fight the Citizens United decision. You look very stupid, but you have to realize that when you invite a certain type of conservatives to the table who don't want to reconcile or deal with or even talk about history of conservatism and how it's affecting us today, you're actually ceding the actual conversation to them, and you don't allow them to speak. It's not because you don't want them to talk; it's because they're trying to bring fuckery and bullshit to the conversation. Yeah. So you have to realize this. This is why you have to talk about policies and not really party. Because there are some people with very bad intentions who want to be a part of the conversation to stop the conversation from happening. This is why they, like, how many times have Trader MBD said that I don't want to talk about the history of anything? How many times have he fucking said that? He said it today. I had to drop him down. I'm like, dude, we're not doing it on the show. You will reconcile your fucking history or you will not be a part of the conversation. This is how they're always meant to be talked to. The conservatives in the South are the only people who want to not talk about the actual history of the Confederacy. It ain't the North. The people in Texas deeply want to not treat slavery as it was supposed to be treated. In the books, they want to call it some other shit. Why can't you just talk about the shit like it fucking is? It was evil as fuck. We should have stopped these people from practicing Christianity, and that would have been the end of it. But we let them back into the actual fucking union. We stopped Reconstruction the moment they seen the potential of fucking black people. Then we had the Jim Crow fuckery bullshit. But see, no black conservative, the fake ones, want to talk about that actual history. Because that history is 100% accurate and true. How big of an embarrassment the hip hop Republicans are? It does. It does, Doug. And this is why I don't want these motherfuckers on here. Because as soon as Trump leave office, ain't none of these motherfuckers gonna be conservative. They're not. And most conservatives are pieces of shit, especially the ones that are on fucking YouTube. If you ain't talking about policy, I don't know why the fuck would you even connect yourself to that name. Because that policy is very clear about how they feel about you. Don't believe me? Look at them fucking Trump rallies. Nope. You're not doing your revisionist fuckery shit here, nigga, go somewhere else with that shit. I ain't got time for it. Because we cannot get the actual history around of what we're trying to change, how are we trying to change anything? Bush v. Gore, they branded hundreds of thousands of black people as felons and that we voted illegally. You still ain't got a black conservative who's ever came here and explained that shit yet. When his brother was the fucking governor of fucking Florida. This is why we call you coons. It's not hard. It's really not that difficult. You have to understand why these people think that shit, because it's easy. It's easy. It's easy bait conservatism. To call yourself a conservative, not know shit about the fucking history of the party, not want to talk about the actual policies, and the only thing you got is derailing the fucking conversation. That's the difference. Like most of these pieces of shit you see on YouTube who brought these fucking dating coach huckster motherfuckers to the goddamn place, they call themselves conservative too. Are they here in the United States? Nope. But they claim to give a fuck about black people. Wrenching up old hoes on their channel and all that type of stupid ass shit. You get to be a conservative as long as you don't talk about the history of anything. These people are coons and they'll do anything for money, anything for notoriety, anything to fucking try to fucking gaslight black people. Listen, man, it's very easy to come to the table and talk about actual black policy. You just got to be honest about this shit beforehand while doing so. We can sit down with reasonable people and say, look, this shit is wrong. This shit got to go. That's not hard. But you got a lot of people who attach themselves to these fucking names and they don't want to understand what the actual history of the name actually means. I can defend their point of view better than they can. And the actual other stupid fucked up thing is they think that you can act your way out of public fucking policy. If public policy is about instituting unequal protection under the fucking law, what the fuck they give a fuck about your individual action and activity? This is why when Trey says that everything is victimhood, everything ain't no motherfucking victimhood. You know how that guy got to be a victim? When that dude engaged in unprofessional fucking activity and made him a victim. They didn't check his background. They didn't do any of that shit. They did it because they knew they could fucking get away with it. And you could put any other race of any other person in nearly the same situation and they not would have died in the same circumstance. I'm just saying, I'm for equal protection under the fucking law. I'm just saying that the police should be held far more under the law than anybody else. There shouldn't be police unions. Because police union has nothing to do with policing. If the police need more and more equipment to do a basic fucking job, they're doing it wrong. The government incentivizes the police to stop people for bullshit fucking reasons. Now you're seeing white guys on the side of the road where all that shit taken out of their fucking car and they wonder where the fuck they got the right to do that shit. Well, they got the right to do that shit because they've been doing it to us for 50 fucking years. Now they're shocked and surprised and arguing with the police when they got all the shit out of the trunk of their car on the side of the fucking road. Goddamn right they're looking for drugs. That's how they get paid. That's how they get funded. Not freedom. You're right, Black Guru. 2004 and 2004. They had the House, the Senate, and the fucking Supreme Court. They did nothing about Roe v. Wade. They only challenge that shit whenever liberals are in power, so that way they can keep fucking getting these stupid ass mouth breathing pieces of shit to come to the poll to vote for corporate power. But see, you wouldn't know all that if you tried to just throw history out the fucking window and just try to have a conversation without the fucking history. This shit ain't that hard. The moment we start talking about the shit we need to start talking about, that's when we fix this shit. That's exactly when we fix it. The moment we start talking about these fucking policies, that's exactly when you fix this shit. Rather than having Oprah, who actually isn't for black men either, run all her fucking shows that shows us looking like pieces of shit, and along with the women that they're clowning, you can actually have her put her fucking money in a place where it's supposed to go. How many years did we try to get Dan Snyder to change that fucking name from the Washington racial slurs to fucking something else? How many times? How many years? You know who fucking got him to consider changing the name? Corporate fucking America. So what I'm saying is we got to start focusing on policy. So when we start focusing on the actual policy, you can actually understand what this shit is and what this shit isn't. And that's the only way we're going to be able to get true progress out here. Because I don't give a fuck about what you believe. I just know what the fuck you ain't going to lie about. Not in front of me. Fuck all that. That's why I'm saying you got to know the difference between the two. Because their track record and their actual way that they operate is exactly the fucking same. They don't want to talk about policy. They want to talk about other shit. Anything but the policy and the track record. Anything but talking about Fox News. You think Fox News is pro-black male? Huh? Really? You can't bring your ass on their fucking TV unless you 100% agree with their point of view. Other than that, you ain't gonna get no fucking seat. None. Tell you, you're gonna be like Herman Cain. Very cookie cutter, very obvious what the fuck he's gonna say. But that's just where we at, man. There's no reason to lie about American history. There is one group of people who's trying to lie about the history of the South, and it's not liberals. So you have to recognize from here on out, whenever you're talking about issues with our government, you got to start talking about policy. The Affordable Health Care Act is policy. What's the conservatives' actual track record of that? They're trying to throw the shit out the window and go back to insurance companies being able to fucking raise rates whenever they want to. That's a fucking policy. Yeah, 999. And guess what took him out of there? The moment that he was leading in the poll for 2 weeks. That's right. The motherfuckers came with that Me Too against his motherfucking ass. 4 women on top of his motherfucking ass in a heartbeat. That's how much they give a fuck about you over there, trying to run shit in their party. Even though Herman Cain said all the correct shit, he still ended up fucked up anyway. Hey, this is why I want to talk about the actual track record going forward, man. But we got to be honest about each point in history. This is why you have to discuss that history by itself as a singular topic and issue. So that way we together can know how fucked up it was. So that way we can move forward from that. So that way when you see some of this shit come down the fucking pipe, you're like, that shit look like this other fucking bullshit. I don't want a piece of that. I don't want a part of that. Of course they did him in. Because they didn't want him running shit. He thought he was going to ride that black conservatism right into the fucking White House. Man, they wasn't having that shit. So that's the difference, folks. We got to start talking about policy. Feminism is a policy. We talk about policies that's going to remove some of this shit that's fucking us up out here. No, I don't feel oppressed like the next guy, but I do want all this shit removed from the fucking books. That stops a man from being productive out here. There's no reason why Dr. Dre need to motherfucker be in the midst of almost losing half of his fucking money the moment he became the most productive in his life after that Apple deal. That's stupid as fuck. Okay, and Mac Day already run shit. Herman Cain was never going to become president, Terrence B. Herman Cain is like Anthony Brian Logan. You're there to talk the shit. You ain't there to run shit. If you don't believe me, look at the way they treated that dude who was the head of the Republican Party when Obama was president. They weren't fucking with that guy like that. So I'm just saying, from here on out, we should be able to discuss policy, man. And you got to have these clown-ass conservatives show up to these policy discussions and debate and actually tell us what their actual conservative position and point of view is. So that way, they can go to their masters on that side, and we can work with the people who we work with, so that way we can move forward. That's it. It's not even that hard. Terrence B, I actually think that Colin Powell probably would have been, Michael Steele, that's his name. Colin Powell probably would have been a better person to become the candidate for president, but since he's burned his public credibility thanks to the Iraq War, he wouldn't have been able to survive that debate stage. Just like Jeb Bush wasn't able to do so. So that's all I got on this, man. It's really not that difficult. We got to be honest about where we're going from here on out. Yeah, because corporate America wanted that shit to happen, Black Guru. I mean, they already said up front that they've already made deals to make sure that shit stay up. Yeah, they treated him like shit on his way out, man. I'm really fucking with Michael Steele like that. Even though he did a lot of fucking bullshit to get a lot of people elected, he was the one who made sure the Tea Party took over the party. Michael Steele was the dude who did that. Had them racists take over the fucking party. So we'll want to come up, y'all come up, and then we get up out of here. But you have to recognize real conservatives from fake ones. Real conservatives want to talk about the history and the actual policy. Fake conservatives don't give a fuck about history or policy. They just want to say stupid shit. Like you don't hear from Candace Owens when it comes to policy. You don't hear from Officer Tatum when it comes to policy. Why? I'm doing a show here, Trey. What the fuck? Y'all can come up here. We're just talking about the difference between real and fake conservatives. I'm not going to justify unconstitutional actions against people. I'm sorry. That's a bridge too fucking far. Yeah, I want these motherfuckers dead like the next person, but I don't want my government being unprofessional when they're dealing with people. It's very simple. I care about the actual Constitution. Yeah, equal protection under the law. Yep. When did he when did he recognize it? He acted like that shit didn't exist until they wanted him the fuck out of there. So that's how you tell the difference between a fake Republican and a real one. So I'm about to get up out of here, man. I want this to stand as a standalone item and product. So that way you can know that whenever you have black people just talking about motherfucking suffering and shit, and we ain't talking about these goddamn policies, I want these motherfuckers to suffer, and I want these fucking policy change. So that way the decent black people who live in these unfortunate areas who are being affected by this shit can actually have an equal shot of shit like everybody else. That's all I want. But the fake black conservatives, they're not here for that. They're here to throw chairs, not want to discuss policy, don't give a fuck about history, and just want to say niggas should die. That's it. So, all right, man, I'm at the 45 mark. Y'all have a nice rest of y'all 4th of July. Later.